When a dying 7-year-old boy was found alone at a Tesla charging station clutching a worn SpaceX patch, no one could have predicted that this single act of desperation would change the course of human space exploration forever. The note in his small hand read, "Please find Elon Musk. He's the only one who can help my son reach the stars." But the woman who left him there harbored a secret connection to Elon that would only be revealed after her ultimate sacrifice, a connection that had been quietly shaping SpaceX's success for years. This is the story of Diego Rivera, the abandoned boy who dreamed of Mars, and the heartbreaking truth about why a brilliant scientist chose to give up everything she loved to save the future of humanity itself. What follows is the true story of how love, sacrifice, and impossible dreams converged at a Tesla supercharger station on a cold March night in 20. The giant silver rocket stood like a metal mountain against the California sky. Elon Musk walked around the Starship prototype, checking every detail. His engineers had worked all night to fix a problem with the heat shield tiles. Each small square piece would protect the rocket when it came back from space. "The tiles look good now," said Tom, his lead engineer. "We should be ready for the next test flight." Elon nodded and smiled. "Mars is waiting for us." He looked up at the rocket's pointed nose. Soon, this machine would carry people to the red planet. It was his biggest dream. The March morning sun was warm on his face. Around him, the SpaceX factory buzzed with activity. Workers moved huge rocket parts with cranes. Computers beeped and hummed. Everyone was focused on one goal: getting humans to Mars. Elon pulled out his phone to check the latest data from yesterday's engine test. The numbers looked perfect. 33 engines had fired together without any problems. It was beautiful. "Mr. Musk?" His assistant Sarah Chen appeared beside him. She looked worried. "I'm sorry to bother you, but there's an urgent call. Someone from a hospital in Austin." Elon frowned. "A hospital? Is someone hurt?" "I don't think so. The caller said it's about a child. She wouldn't give me tittle, but she said it was very important." Elon followed Sarah back to his office. The walls were covered with pictures of rockets and Mars. His desk was messy with papers and rocket models. He picked up the phone. "This is Elon Musk." "Mr. Musk, thank you for taking my call. This is Dr. Maria Santos from Austin Children's Hospital in Texas. I'm calling about a very unusual situation." Dr. Santos had a kind voice, but Elon could hear worry in it too. "What can I help you with, doctor?" 3 days ago, a 7-year-old boy was brought to our emergency room. His name is Diego Rivera. He was found alone at one of your Tesla charging stations in Austin. Elon sat up straighter. "Alone? Where were his parents?" "That's the problem. We don't know. He was found by a security guard at 2 a.m., just sitting by the chargers. He had this with him." Dr. Santos paused. A worn SpaceX mission patch and a handwritten note. What did the note say? It said, "Please find Elon Musk. He's the only one who can help my son reach the stars." Elon's chest tightened. He looked out his office window at the Starship. "Has the boy said anything about who left him there?" "That's another problem, Mr. Musk. Diego hasn't spoken a single word since he arrived. But he does something very interesting. He draws what? Rockets. Very detailed rockets. And pictures of Mars. Mr. Musk, I've been a pediatric doctor for 15 years. I've never seen a 7-year-old draw like this. His rockets are accurate. He knows the difference between a Falcon 9 and a Falcon Heavy. He drew your Dragon capsule perfectly." Elon's mind raced. A child left at a Tesla station with a SpaceX patch. A child who drew rockets like an engineer. It didn't make sense, but something about it pulled at his heart. "Doctor, is the boy hurt? Sick?" Dr. Santos was quiet for a moment. "Diego has a serious heart condition, Mr. Musk. It's called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. The left side of his heart didn't grow properly. Without surgery, he has maybe 6 months to live." The words hit Elon like a punch. A little boy alone and dying, dreaming of rockets and stars. "But here's the strange part," Dr. Santos continued. "When we show Diego pictures of space missions, his heart rate improves. When we talk about rockets, he gets stronger. It's like dreams are keeping him alive." Elon closed his eyes. He thought about himself as a child in South Africa, dreaming of rockets and space while other kids played sports. He remembered feeling alone, different, misunderstood. Dr. Santos, I'll be on the next flight to Austin. Really? Mr. Musk, you don't have to. Yes, I do. This boy needs help, and if someone thinks I can provide it, then I have to try. I'll be there tonight. Thank you, Mr. Musk. Diego will be so happy. Even though he won't talk, I can tell he's been waiting for something. Maybe he's been waiting for you. After Elon hung up, he stared at the phone for a long time. He thought about the note. Handwriting looked familiar somehow, but he couldn't remember where he'd seen it before. Who would leave a child at a Tesla station? Who would think that he, of all people, could help? Sarah knocked on his door. Mr. Musk, should I cancel your meetings for today? Cancel everything. Book me a flight to Austin. And Sarah? Yes, sir? Find out everything you can about this boy. Diego Rivera. I want to know how he ended up alone with a SpaceX patch. As Sarah left, Elon walked back to the window. The starship stood tall and ready, pointing toward the stars. Somewhere in Austin, a little boy was dreaming of those same stars with a broken heart. Elon had spent his life trying to get humans to Mars, but now, he had to figure out how to save one small human right here on Earth. He grabbed his jacket and headed for the door. The stars would have to wait. A little astronaut needed him more. The airplane touched down in Austin, just as the sun was setting. Elon looked out the window at the Texas sky painted orange and pink. Somewhere in this city was a little boy who needed his help. He grabbed his phone and called Dr. Santos. I just landed. Can I see Diego tonight? Of course, Mr. Musk. He's been drawing all day. I think he knows something special is happening. Elon's driver took him straight to Austin Children's Hospital. The building was tall and white with colorful windows that lit up the evening. Inside, the walls were covered with artwork made by kids, handprints in rainbow colors, paintings of flowers and drawings of families. Dr. Santos met him at the front desk. She was a small woman with kind brown eyes and graying hair. She wore a white coat covered with stickers that said things like brave and strong. Mr. Musk, thank you for coming so quickly. She shook his hand firmly. Before you meet Diego, I want to show you something. She led him down a long hallway, lined with more children's art. At the end of the hall, she stopped outside a room with a big window. This is Diego's room, she said. Look at the walls. Elon peered through the window and gasped. Every inch of the walls was covered with drawings. But these weren't normal kid drawings. They were detailed pictures of rockets, space stations, and planets. One drawing showed a Falcon 9 rocket taking off, with flames shooting from the bottom that looked exactly right. Another showed the Dragon capsule floating in space next to the International Space Station. In the corner was a picture of Mars with tiny people walking on its red surface. He did all of these? Elon asked. Every one. And look at this. Dr. Santos pointed to a drawing near the window. It showed the Starship rocket that Elon had been working on. The drawing was so accurate it could have been a blueprint. How does he know what Starship looks like? We barely show those designs to the public. I don't know. But Mr. Musk, look at the bottom of that drawing. Elon looked closer. In careful childish handwriting were the words, "Take me with you." His heart squeezed tight. Can I meet him now? Dr. Santos opened the door quietly. Diego, someone very special is here to see you. The boy sitting by the window was smaller than Elon had expected. He had dark hair that stuck up in the back and big brown eyes that seemed too old for his face. His skin was pale, and Elon could see the outline of medical wires under his hospital gown. Diego looked up when they walked in. His eyes grew wide when he saw Elon, but he didn't say anything. Instead, he held up the drawing he had been working on. It was a picture of three people standing together on what looked like Mars. One person was tall with dark hair. It looked like Elon. One was smaller with a white coat, probably Dr. Santos, and one was tiny with a big smile. Diego himself. That's a beautiful drawing, Elon said softly. He sat down in the chair next to Diego's bed. Can you tell me about it? Diego pointed to the Mars surface in his picture, then pointed to himself. Then he made a whooshing sound like a rocket taking off. You want to go to Mars? Elon asked. Diego nodded so hard his hair bounced. Then he picked up another drawing from his bedside table. This one showed the inside of a spaceship, with people floating around, smiling and happy. Dr. Santos whispered to Elon. His heart condition makes it hard for him to be very active. But when he draws or thinks about space, his monitors show his heart working better. It's like hope makes him stronger. Elon studied Diego's face. The boy's eyes were bright with intelligence and curiosity. Even though he was sick and scared, he still dreamed of impossible things. Diego, I work with rockets every day. Would you like me to tell you about them? For the first time since Elon arrived, Diego's face lit up with a real smile. He grabbed a fresh piece of paper and some crayons, ready to draw while Elon talked. Well, the rocket you drew, the Starship, is designed to carry 100 people to Mars. It's as tall as a 20-story building. Elon used his hands to show how big it was. Diego started drawing quickly, sketching a huge rocket with people looking out the windows. The hard part is landing on Mars. The planet has storms that can last for months, and the air is very thin. Diego drew swirling circles around his Mars picture, dust storms. But you know what the most important part is? Elon leaned closer. The most important part is the people. Brave people who aren't afraid to try new things. Diego put down his crayon and looked straight at Elon. Then he did something surprising. He pointed to his own chest, over his heart, and then pointed to the Mars drawing. You think you're brave enough to go to Mars? Elon asked. Diego nodded firmly. Then he picked up a crayon and wrote something at the bottom of his new drawing. In shaky letters he wrote, Diego, Mars Explorer. Dr. Santos wiped away a tear. He's never written his name before. Not since he got here. Elon felt his throat get tight. This little boy, sick and alone, still believed he could explore other worlds. It reminded Elon of himself as a child, dreaming of space while other kids thought he was weird. Diego, would you like to see some real pictures of Mars? Diego's eyes went huge. Elon pulled out his phone and showed him photos that NASA rovers had taken on the red planet. Real pictures of Martian mountains, valleys, and ancient riverbeds. Diego touched the phone screen gently, tracing the shapes of the rocks and hills. Then he looked at Elon and did something he hadn't done since arriving at the hospital. He spoke. My mama said you'd come. The words were so quiet, Elon almost missed them. But Dr. Santos gasped and grabbed her clipboard to write notes. Your mama? Elon asked carefully. What did she tell you about me? Diego picked up his worn SpaceX mission patch from the bedside table. He held it tight in his small hand. She said, you help people reach the stars. She said if I waited here and drew rockets, you would find me. Elon's mind raced with questions. Who was Diego's mother? How did she know about him? Why did she think he could help? Diego, where is your mama now? The little boy's eyes filled with tears. He pointed out the window toward the city lights of Austin. She had to go away. But she promised you would take care of me until I'm strong enough to fly to Mars. Elon looked at Dr. Santos, who was staring at Diego in amazement. This is the most he's spoken since he arrived, she whispered. As visiting hours ended, Elon stood to leave. But Diego grabbed his hand with surprising strength. Will you come back tomorrow? The boy asked. I promise, Elon said. As he walked toward the door, Diego called out one more time. Mr. Elon, thank you for not forgetting about me. Elon turned back. I could never forget about you, Diego. You're going to be an amazing astronaut someday. Outside in the hallway, Dr. Santos shook her head in wonder. In 15 years of medicine, I've never seen anything like this. That boy has been waiting for you, Mr. Musk. Someone told him you would come, and he believed it completely. As Elon drove away from the hospital, he couldn't stop thinking about Diego's words. My mama said you'd come. But who was his mama? And why did she believe so strongly that Elon Musk was the answer to her son's prayers? The city lights of Austin twinkled below like stars, and somewhere out there was a woman who had trusted him with the most precious thing in her world. Elon couldn't sleep that night. He kept thinking about Diego's words. My mama said you'd come. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the little boy's face, so full of trust and hope. At 6 a.m., he called his security chief, James Morrison. James had been a detective for 20 years before working for Elon. If anyone could find Diego's mother, it was him. James, I need you to drop everything and come to Austin. I need you to find someone. Of course, Mr. Musk. Who are we looking for? A woman who left her 7-year-old son at a Tesla charging station 3 days ago. Her name might be Rivera, and she knows things about me that she shouldn't know." James was quiet for a moment. "That's not much to go on, but I'll start searching. I'll be there by noon." Elon spent the morning at the hospital with Diego. The little boy was excited to see him and had drawn 3 new rocket pictures overnight. One showed a rocket hospital in space where sick kids could get better while looking at stars. "That's brilliant, Diego," Elon said. "Maybe someday we really will have hospitals in space." Diego beamed and started drawing doctors floating in zero gravity. Dr. Santos pulled Elon aside. "Diego's heart is working harder today. He's excited, which is good, but we need to be careful. Too much excitement could be dangerous." "What does he need?" "Rest, proper medicine, and most importantly, he needs to know he's safe. Right now, he's worried about being alone again." When James arrived at the hospital, he looked like any other visitor. Average height, brown hair, forgettable face. That's what made him such a good investigator. "Show me where the boy was found," James said. They drove to the Tesla supercharger station on the east side of Austin. It was a busy place with 8 charging spots next to a shopping center. Security cameras pointed at every angle. The station manager, Mrs. Chen, remembered that night clearly. "It was about 2 a.m. when our security guard found the boy. He was sitting right there." She pointed to the charging spot closest to the street. "He had a little backpack and was holding something in his hand." "Did you see who dropped him off?" James asked. "The cameras did. Let me show you." Inside the station office, Mrs. Chen played the security video on her computer. At 1:45 a.m., a small blue car pulled up. A woman got out with a child. She was wearing a dark coat with the hood up, so her face was hard to see. "Watch this part," Mrs. Chen said. On the screen, the woman knelt down and talked to Diego for a long time. She hugged him tight, then handed him something. The SpaceX patch. The boy nodded like he understood something important. Then the woman walked back to her car, but she kept looking back at Diego. She sat in the driver's seat for several minutes before driving away slowly. "She didn't want to leave him," Elon said quietly. "Look how many times she looked back." James wrote down the car's license plate number. "I'll trace this. We should have answers soon." While James worked on finding the car, Elon and Dr. Santos visited Austin's social services office. The social worker, Ms. Rodriguez, had been trying to find Diego's family for 3 days. "We've checked every Rivera family in Austin," she said. "No one is missing a 7-year-old boy. It's like he appeared from nowhere." "What about his medical records?" Elon asked. "That's another mystery. Diego has no medical history in Texas. No school records, no doctor visits, nothing. But his current condition shows he's been getting some medical care somewhere." Dr. Santos frowned. "His heart condition is serious, but someone has been managing it well. He's had proper medication and checkups. This wasn't neglect." Back at the hospital that evening, Elon sat with Diego while he drew. The boy had made a picture of a blue car driving away under a starry sky. "Diego, is that your mama's car?" The boy nodded and pointed to a small figure in the driver's seat. Even in the simple drawing, the figure looked sad. "Do you know why she had to go away?" Diego put down his crayon and looked out the window at the dark sky. "Mama said she was getting sick in her head. She said she might forget me, and that would make her too sad to live." Elon's heart broke a little. "What else did she tell you?" "She said you were the smartest man in the world. She said you could fix anything, even broken hearts." Diego touched his chest. "She said if I waited for you and showed you my rockets, you would help me get better so I could fly to Mars someday." "How did she know about me, Diego?" The little boy shrugged. "Mama knew lots of things. She worked with rockets before I was born. She showed me pictures of Mars and taught me about engines and fuel and how to draw spaceships. This was new information." Diego's mother had worked with rockets. That might explain how she knew so much about SpaceX and why she trusted Elon to help her son. James called with his first update. "I found the car. It's registered to Isabella Rivera, age 34. She lives in an apartment complex on the south side of Austin." "Great. Let's go talk to her." "There's a problem, Mr. Musk. I went to her apartment. The neighbors say she hasn't been home for 4 days. They're worried about her. Where could she be? I'm checking hospitals and hotels. But Mr. Musk, I found something else. Isabella Rivera works at the Tesla service center downtown. Her coworkers say she talked about her son all the time. She called him her little astronaut. Elon felt pieces of a puzzle starting to fit together. What else did her coworkers say? They said she was a single mom who worked 2 jobs, one at Tesla during the day, another cleaning offices at night. They said she was devoted to Diego but seemed very worried about something lately. Worried about what? They weren't sure, but she kept asking strange questions about child custody and adoption laws. She also kept talking about some rich man who could give Diego a better life. Elon looked through the hospital window at Diego, who was showing his drawings to a nurse. The little boy was smiling, but Elon could see how pale and tired he looked. "James, we need to find Isabella Rivera. Tonight. I'm on it. But Mr. Musk, there's something else you should know. I checked with local hospitals. A woman matching Isabella's description was brought to Austin General Hospital 2 nights ago. She collapsed on the street and was found by a jogger. Is she okay? She's alive, but she's in the psychiatric ward. The doctors say she had some kind of mental breakdown. She keeps saying the same things over and over. I had to save him, and Elon will know what to do." Elon closed his eyes. Isabella Rivera had left her son at a Tesla station, and then collapsed from the stress of it. She had trusted a complete stranger with the most important thing in her life, because she believed it was Diego's only chance. "James, I want to see her tomorrow, and I want to know everything about Isabella Rivera, where she worked before Tesla, why she knows so much about rockets, and why she thought I was Diego's only hope." That night, Elon sat in his hotel room looking at Diego's drawings. One showed a woman with long, dark hair waving goodbye to a small boy. At the bottom, Diego had written "Mama loves me" to the stars and back. Somewhere in this city was a woman who loved her son so much she was willing to give him up to save his life. And somehow, she had known that Elon Musk would care enough about a dreaming little boy to help make his impossible dreams come true. But time was running out. Diego needed surgery soon, and legal guardians had to make medical decisions. If Isabella couldn't recover enough to sign papers, Diego might become lost in the foster care system. Elon had built rockets and electric cars, but his biggest challenge yet might be saving one small boy who believed in him completely. Elon stared at the hotel ceiling all night. Every time he tried to sleep, he saw Diego's trusting brown eyes and heard his small voice saying, "My mama said you'd come." At 5 a.m., he gave up on sleep and called his lawyer in California. "Rebecca, I need you to fly to Austin today. I need to know everything about emergency guardianship laws in Texas." Rebecca Torres had been Elon's lawyer for 10 years. She was used to his unusual requests. But this one surprised her. "Guardianship? Elon, are you planning to adopt someone?" "Maybe. There's a 7-year-old boy here who needs medical decisions made, and his mother can't make them right now." "Elon, adoption isn't like buying a company. You can't just decide overnight to become someone's parent. There are home studies, background checks, court hearings. How long does all that take? Months. Sometimes years. This boy doesn't have months, Rebecca. He needs heart surgery soon, or he'll die." Rebecca was quiet for a moment. "There might be emergency procedures, but Elon, think about this carefully. Your life is incredibly busy. You travel constantly. You work 18-hour days. How could you care for a sick child?" Elon looked out his hotel window at the sunrise. "I don't know, but I have to try." At the hospital, Diego was awake early, working on a new drawing. This one showed a rocket ship shaped like a heart, flying toward Mars. "That's beautiful, Diego," Elon said, sitting beside his bed. "It's for you," Diego said shyly. "Dr. Santos says you're trying to help me stay here instead of going to a different place." Elon's throat tightened. Someone had explained to Diego that he might be moved to a foster home. "Diego, would you like to stay with me?" The boy's eyes went wide. "Really? You mean like you'd be my daddy?" The word hit Elon like a lightning bolt. Daddy. He had never thought of himself that way. He had children of his own, but his relationships with them were complicated because of his work and divorces. "Would you want that?" Elon asked carefully. Diego nodded so hard his hair bounced. Then he threw his thin arms around Elon's neck and hugged him tight. "I knew you'd save me," Diego whispered. "Mama said you were the kind of person who doesn't give up on impossible things." That afternoon, Rebecca arrived from California looking worried. She met Elon in the hospital cafeteria, away from Diego's room. Elon, I've been researching Texas law all morning. Emergency guardianship is possible, but the court will ask hard questions. Do you have a stable home here? Can you provide daily care for a child with serious medical needs? Will you be present for doctor appointments, school, and everything else? I can buy a house here, I can hire nurses and tutors, That's not what they're asking. Rebecca leaned forward. They want to know if you'll be a real parent, someone who reads bedtime stories, helps with homework, and shows up for soccer games. Diego can't play soccer. His heart, you know what I mean. Parenting isn't about money or resources. It's about being there, every day, even when it's boring or hard. Elon thought about his own childhood. His parents had been there physically but emotionally distant. He had spent most of his time alone, reading about rockets and dreaming of Mars. Maybe that's why he understood Diego so well. Rebecca, that little boy has been abandoned once already. I won't let it happen again. Even if it means changing your entire life, SpaceX, Tesla, all your companies. I'll figure it out. Rebecca sighed. Okay, I'll start the paperwork. But Elon, there's another problem. The boy's mother is in a psychiatric hospital. If she recovers, she could fight for custody. If she doesn't recover, other family members might appear and claim him. What do you mean? Grandparents, aunts, uncles. Blood relatives have legal rights. You could spend months caring for Diego, only to have a judge give him to someone else. That evening, Dr. Santos called an urgent meeting. Diego's heart was getting weaker. We can't wait much longer for surgery, she said. His condition is getting worse every day. We need someone with legal authority to make medical decisions by tomorrow. What happens if no one has that authority? Elon asked. The state takes temporary custody. Diego becomes a ward of Texas. The surgery will happen, but then he'll go into the foster care system while courts decide his permanent placement. Elon looked through the window at Diego, who was showing his rocket drawings to a young nurse. The boy looked so small and fragile in the big hospital bed. Dr. Santos, in your medical opinion, what does Diego need most to recover? Medically, he needs the surgery and careful follow-up care. But emotionally, she paused. He needs to feel safe and loved. He needs to know someone is fighting for him. Right now, that someone is you, Mr. Musk. He trusts you completely. That night, Elon sat beside Diego's bed as the boy fell asleep. Diego's small hand was wrapped around his finger, as if he was afraid Elon might disappear. Mr. Elon? Diego whispered in the dark. Yes? If you become my daddy, can I still go to Mars someday? Of course. We'll go together. Diego smiled and closed his eyes. Good. Mama always said Mars needs brave people. I think it needs brave daddies too. After Diego fell asleep, Elon called Rebecca. File the emergency guardianship papers tomorrow morning. Whatever it takes. Are you sure? Elon looked at the sleeping child who had somehow become the most important thing in his world in just 3 days. I've spent my whole life trying to get humans to Mars, but this little human needs to survive Earth first. Yes, I'm sure. There's one more thing, Elon. I found out more about Isabella Rivera. She's not just a Tesla employee. She used to be Dr. Isabella Chen Rivera. She was an aerospace engineer at NASA. Elon sat up straighter. NASA? She worked on life support systems for long-duration space flights. Her research was brilliant, but she left suddenly 3 years ago after some kind of personal tragedy. That explains how she knows so much about rockets. But why did she leave NASA? I'm still investigating. But Elon, there's something else. Her medical records show she was diagnosed with early-onset Alzheimer's disease 6 months ago. The words hit Elon like a punch to the stomach. Isabella Rivera wasn't just having a nervous breakdown. She was losing her mind to a disease that would steal her memories and her ability to care for Diego. She hadn't abandoned her son. She had made the most heartbreaking sacrifice a mother could make, giving up the child she loved to save him from watching her disappear piece by piece. Rebecca, I need to see Isabella tomorrow before the court hearing. I need to understand why she chose me. The doctors might not allow visitors. Then I'll find another way. That woman trusted me with her son's life. The least I can do is promise her that he'll be okay. As Elon finally fell asleep in the hospital chair, He dreamed of rockets and red planets. But in his dream, he wasn't alone on Mars. A small boy with bright brown eyes was there with him, pointing at the stars and asking questions about the universe. When he woke up, Diego was watching him with a worried expression. "Bad dream?" the little boy asked. "No," Elon said, smiling. "It was a good dream. We were exploring Mars together." Diego grinned. "I can't wait." The next morning brought bad news. James Morrison called Elon with information that changed everything. "Mr. Musk, I've been digging deeper into Diego's background. Isabella Rivera isn't his birth mother." Elon nearly dropped his coffee. "What do you mean?" "She adopted him 3 years ago from California's foster system. His original name was David Chen. He was placed in care when he was 4 years old. So Isabella adopted a sick child she barely knew? It gets more complicated. I found Isabella's real story. 3 years ago, she was Dr. Isabella Chen Rivera, one of NASA's brightest engineers. She was married to Dr. Miguel Rivera, and they were trying to have children." Elon sat down hard in the hospital waiting room. "What happened?" "Car accident. Miguel died instantly. Isabella survived but had a complete breakdown. She lost her job, her house, everything. That's when she saw Diego in the foster system and decided to adopt him. A grieving woman adopted a sick child? I think she saw something in him that reminded her of her lost dreams. Diego was brilliant even then, asking questions about rockets and space that amazed his social workers." James paused, and Elon could hear papers shuffling. "But Mr. Musk, there's more." Isabella's research at NASA was groundbreaking. She worked on life support systems for Mars missions. Some of her ideas were years ahead of anything else. Elon's mind raced. "Send me her research papers." "Already did. Check your email." "But there's something else you need to know. Diego's birth mother has surfaced. Her name is Lin Chen. She's 25 now, married, and lives in Silicon Valley. She wants her son back." The world seemed to tilt sideways. Just when Elon thought he understood the situation, everything became more complex. Does she know about Diego's condition? She claims she's been following his life through private investigators since she gave him up. She knew about his heart problems when Isabella adopted him, but she felt too young and poor to handle his medical needs. And now? Now she's a software engineer making good money. She has health insurance and a stable marriage. Her lawyer says she has rights as the biological mother. Elon closed his eyes. Diego was upstairs, probably drawing rockets and dreaming of Mars, not knowing that 3 different adults were fighting over his future. "James, I need to read Isabella's research before I see her today, and find out everything you can about Lin Chen." In his hotel room, Elon opened Isabella's research files on his laptop. What he read amazed him. Her work on closed-loop life support systems was brilliant. She had solved problems that SpaceX engineers were still working on. One paper caught his attention: Sustainable Atmosphere Management for Long-Duration Mars Missions. The date was 4 years ago, but the solutions she proposed were exactly what SpaceX needed now. Another file made him stop breathing. It was titled Psychological Support Systems for Isolated Space Crews and included detailed plans for how to keep people mentally healthy during the long journey to Mars. The author listed was Dr. Isabella Chen Rivera and Dr. Miguel Rivera. Miguel Rivera. The name sounded familiar. Elon scrolled to the bottom of the paper and found a note: "Special thanks to our University of Pennsylvania colleague Elon Musk for his insights on sustainable energy applications." Elon stared at the screen. Miguel Rivera had been his classmate at Penn. They had worked together on a project about solar energy systems. Miguel had been brilliant, funny, and full of dreams about changing the world. Suddenly, Isabella's handwriting in Diego's note made sense. She had seen it before, because Miguel used to bring her papers to their study group. She hadn't chosen Elon randomly. She remembered him from her late husband's stories. At Austin General Hospital's psychiatric wing, Elon met with Dr. Patricia Williams, Isabella's doctor. "Mr. Musk, Isabella is heavily medicated right now. She has moments of clarity, but they don't last long. Can I see her? I need to understand why she chose me to care for Diego." Dr. Williams looked uncertain. "She keeps asking about her son. If you can give her peace about his safety, it might help her healing process." Isabella's room was small and white, with one window overlooking the parking lot. She sat in a chair staring outside, her dark hair unwashed and her hands shaking slightly from medication. When Elon entered, she turned slowly. For a moment, her eyes were confused. Then something clicked. "Miguel," she whispered. "No, Isabella. I'm Elon Musk. You left Diego at my charging station." Her face crumpled. "Diego, my little astronaut. Is he okay? Did you find him?" "He's safe. He's in the hospital getting the care he needs." Tears rolled down Isabella's cheeks. I couldn't watch him see me forget him. The disease, it takes everything." Elon sat in the chair next to her. "Isabella, Miguel was my friend at Penn. I remember him talking about you. He said you were the smartest person he'd ever met." A smile flickered across her face. "Miguel loved your solar panel project. He said you would change the world someday. You helped change the world too. Your NASA research is incredible." That was before, she touched her head, before my brain started breaking. Now I can't even remember what I had for breakfast. "But you remembered Miguel's stories about me. You remembered enough to trust me with Diego." Isabella leaned forward, suddenly intense. "Diego is special. He sees the world like Miguel did, like you do. He believes impossible things can happen. I see that in him. Promise me something." Isabella grabbed Elon's hand with surprising strength. "Promise me he'll reach the stars. Don't let his broken heart stop him from flying. I promise." "But Isabella, there's something you should know. Diego's birth mother wants him back." Isabella's face went pale. "Lynn, but she gave him up. She said she couldn't handle a sick child. People change. She's older now, has more money." "No." Isabella stood up shakily. "Lynn gave up her rights when she abandoned him as a baby. Diego doesn't even remember her. I'm his mother now. I'm the one who sat with him through surgery. I'm the one who taught him about rockets." "Isabella, you're sick. The courts might not. Then you have to fight for him." She grabbed both his hands. "You have to become his father. Really his father, not just his guardian. Diego needs someone who understands his dreams." A nurse came in. "Visiting time is over, Mr. Musk." As Elon stood to leave, Isabella called out desperately. "Wait, there's something else. Something I never told anyone." She reached under her pillow and pulled out a small notebook. "Miguel kept this, ideas he wanted to share with you someday. Dreams you both had about Mars." She pressed it into Elon's hands. Diego should have his father's dreams. Outside in the hallway, Elon opened the notebook. Page after page of Miguel's handwriting filled with sketches and ideas. Sustainable habitats on Mars. Rocket designs that looked remarkably similar to what SpaceX later built. And on the last page, a drawing of a man and woman standing on Mars with a small child between them. At the bottom, Miguel had written, "Someday families will live among the stars. Maybe we'll build this future together." Miguel Rivera had dreamed of Mars colonies 20 years ago. His widow had taught those dreams to his adopted son. And now that son was asking Elon to help him reach the stars. It wasn't coincidence that brought Diego into Elon's life. It was the completion of a circle that began years ago with two young men sharing impossible dreams. But as Elon drove back to the children's hospital, he saw a woman in a blue sedan following him. When he parked, she got out and walked toward him. She was young, with Diego's brown eyes and dark hair. She looked nervous but determined. "Mr. Musk? I'm Lin Chen. I think we need to talk about my son." Lin Chen was smaller than Elon had expected. She wore a simple blue dress and carried a briefcase that looked too big for her hands. Her nervous energy reminded him of Diego when he was excited about rockets. "Ms. Chen," Elon said carefully, "this is a difficult situation. Please, call me Lin." "And yes, it's very difficult. That's my son in there, Mr. Musk. I gave birth to him 8 years ago." They stood in the hospital parking lot as the Texas sun beat down on them. Other families walked past, heading inside to visit their own children. "Lane, Diego doesn't remember you. To him, Isabella is his mother." "I know." Her voice was quiet and sad. "I was 16 when I had him. I was scared, alone, and had no money. I thought giving him up was the right thing to do." "What changed your mind?" Lynn opened her briefcase and pulled out a thick folder. I've been following his life through private Vegator since the day I gave him up. I have pictures of his first steps, copies of his medical records, even some of his drawings from preschool. She handed Elon a photograph. It showed a 4-year-old Diego in a foster home, holding a toy rocket and smiling at the camera. He was already obsessed with space travel, Lynn said. Even then, he would tell anyone who would listen that he was going to Mars someday. Elon studied the photo. Diego looked so small and hopeful, not knowing that his heart was already sick. Lynn, why didn't you take him back when you learned about his heart condition? Tears filled her eyes. Because I was still too young and stupid to give him what he needed. I was working at a coffee shop, living with 3 roommates, and barely making enough money to feed myself. But now I'm a software engineer at a tech company in San Francisco. I have good health insurance, a stable marriage, and enough money to pay for his medical care. She wiped her eyes. I've grown up, Mr. Musk. I'm ready to be his mother. A lawyer got out of a car nearby and walked toward them. He was tall and wore an expensive suit. Ms. Chen, I told you to wait for me, he said sternly. Mr. Musk, this is my lawyer, David Park, Lynn said. He specializes in family law. David Park shook Elon's hand firmly. Mr. Musk, I know you care about Diego, but my client has legal rights as his biological mother. Isabella Rivera is mentally ill and cannot make decisions for the child. Isabella adopted Diego legally. That makes her his mother under the law. Elon replied, adoption can be challenged, especially when the adoptive parent becomes unable to care for the child. A judge will always prefer to place a child with biological family when possible. Elon felt anger rising in his chest. This isn't about what's legally possible. It's about what's best for Diego. My client can provide everything Diego needs. Park continued. Love, stability, medical care, education. Can she provide his dreams? Elon interrupted. Does she understand why he draws rockets? Does she know that he believes Mars is waiting for him? Lynn stepped forward. Mr. Musk, I know you think I don't understand my son, but I've been reading about his interest for years. I know about his heart condition, his love of space, his incredible intelligence. Knowing about something isn't the same as living it. Then let me learn. Let me be part of his life. Dr. Santos appeared at the hospital entrance, looking worried. She hurried over to them. Mr. Musk, I need to speak with you immediately. Diego's condition has gotten worse overnight. Elon's heart jumped. Worse how? His heart is working much harder than yesterday. We need to do the first surgery now, not later. But we can't proceed without legal guardian consent. What does that mean? Lynn asked. It means someone needs to have legal authority to make medical decisions for Diego. Right now, no one does. Isabella is too sick, and the courts haven't decided on emergency guardianship yet. David Park pulled out his phone. I can have emergency papers filed within an hour, claiming my client's parental rights. That could take days to process. Dr. Santos said. Diego might not have days. Elon looked through the hospital windows and could see Diego's room on the 3rd floor. The little boy was probably wondering where he was. Dr. Santos, what happens if we don't get consent quickly enough? The state takes temporary custody. Texas Children's Services makes the medical decisions and Diego goes into emergency foster care after surgery. No, Lynn said firmly. I won't let my son become lost in the system. Neither will I, Elon agreed. For the first time, Lynn looked at Elon with something like respect. Maybe we're fighting the wrong battle here. What do you mean? Maybe the question isn't who gets Diego. Maybe the question is how we work together to save him. David Park frowned at his client. Ms. Chen, that's not what we discussed. Mr. Park, be quiet for a minute. Lynn turned to Elon. I've been watching Diego's progress since you arrived. He's happier than I've seen him in years. He trusts you. He feels safe with you. But you're his mother. I gave birth to him, yes. But Isabella raised him. You inspired him. Maybe Diego needs all of us. Dr. Santos looked between them hopefully. Are you suggesting some kind of shared arrangement? I don't know what I'm suggesting, Lynn said. I just know that my son is dying upstairs, and we're down here arguing about paperwork while he needs surgery. Elon made a decision. Dr. Santos, what if Lynn and I both petition for emergency guardianship? As co-guardians, is that even legal? Lynn asked. David Park was checking something on his phone. It's unusual but possible in Texas. Joint guardianship can be granted in exceptional circumstances. This definitely qualifies as exceptional, Dr. Santos said. Len looked at Elon seriously. Mr. Musk, if we do this, it means we're both responsible for Diego's future. Both of us. Are you prepared for that? Elon thought about Diego's drawings, his dreams of Mars, his complete trust. Yes. Are you? I've been preparing for 8 years. They shook hands in the hospital parking lot while Dr. Santos called the emergency court clerk. There's one more thing, Lynn said quietly. I want to meet Diego before the surgery. I know he won't remember me, but I need to see him. I need to tell him that his birth mother never stopped loving him. That might confuse him, Elon warned, or it might give him more strength. More people to fight for him. 2 hours later, they stood outside Diego's hospital room. Through the window, they could see him drawing another rocket picture. This one showed multiple people standing on Mars together. He's beautiful, Lynn whispered, seeing her son clearly for the first time in years. He's brilliant, Elon added. He's ours, Lynn said, and somehow that felt exactly right. Dr. Santos joined them with good news. The court approved joint emergency guardianship. You can both consent to Diego's surgery. When does it happen? Elon asked. In 2 hours. But first, I think Diego should meet Lynn. He's going to need all the love he can get to survive what's coming. As they opened the door to Diego's room, the little boy looked up from his drawing. His eyes went from Elon to the strange woman beside him. Diego, Elon said gently. There's someone very special I'd like you to meet. Diego looked up from his drawing with curious brown eyes. The woman standing next to Elon had the same dark hair he did, and she was crying softly. Who is she? Diego asked, quietly. Elon sat on the edge of Diego's bed. This is Lynn. She's your first mother, the one who gave birth to you. Diego's eyes grew wide. He stared at Lynn for a long moment, tilting his head the way he did when he was thinking hard about something. Are you the one who couldn't take care of me when I was little? He asked. Lynn knelt beside his bed, her voice shaking. Yes, sweetheart. I was very young and scared, and I thought someone else could give you a better life. But you're not scared anymore. I'm still scared, but now I'm scared of the right things. I'm scared of losing you again. Diego studied her face carefully. You look like me. Same eyes. Yes, we have the same eyes. Do you know about rockets? Lane smiled through her tears. I'm learning. I've been reading about SpaceX and Mars missions because I wanted to understand what makes you happy. Diego brightened. Really? Did you know that Mars has ice at the poles and that the sunsets are blue there? I didn't know about the blue sunsets. That sounds beautiful. For the next few minutes, Diego told Lynn all about Mars while she listened with complete attention. Elon watched them together and saw how much Diego looked like his birth mother. Dr. Santos knocked on the door. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we need to prepare Diego for surgery. Diego's face went pale. Surgery? Right now? Yes, little one. Your heart needs some help, and we can't wait any longer. Will it hurt? Elon took Diego's hand. You'll be asleep the whole time. When you wake up, your heart will be stronger. Will you both be here when I wake up? Diego looked at Elon and Lynn. We promise. Lynn said immediately. Both of us. Elon agreed. As the nurses came to prepare Diego for surgery, he grabbed his newest drawing from the bedside table. This is for you, he said, handing it to Lynn. It's all of us on Mars together. You, me, Mama Isabella, and Papa Elon. Lynn looked at the drawing and started crying again. In Diego's picture, 4 people stood holding hands under a starry sky on the red planet. Thank you, she whispered. It's perfect. Diego was taken to surgery at 3 p.m. The operation was supposed to take 6 hours. Elon and Lynn sat together in the waiting room, not talking much but both watching the clock. At 4 p.m., James Morrison called with urgent news. Mr. Musk, I found out more about Isabella's condition. It's worse than we thought. What do you mean? I talked to her doctor. The Alzheimer's is advancing rapidly. She might not remember Diego at all within a few months. Elon looked at Lynn, who was listening to his side of the conversation. James, we're dealing with that later. Diego is in surgery right now. There's something else. Isabella's been trying to contact you from the psychiatric ward. She keeps saying she has something important to tell you about Diego's father. Isabella told me Diego's father was unknown. Maybe that's not true. Mr. Musk, Isabella left a sealed envelope for you at the hospital. The nurses have been trying to reach you all day. After hanging up, Elon told Lynn what James had discovered. Diego's father? Lynn looked confused. I never told Isabella who his father was. I barely told anyone I was pregnant. Could Isabella have found out somehow? I don't see how. I was living in a different state when Diego was born. A nurse from the psychiatric ward arrived with Isabella's envelope. It was addressed to Elon Musk for Diego's future in shaky handwriting. Inside was a short letter and what looked like medical test results. The letter said, Elon, I lied about not knowing Diego's father. I was protecting someone important. The DNA test results are attached. Diego's father died 3 years ago, but his family doesn't know Diego exists. This might change everything. Please use this information to help Diego if something happens to me. Isabella. Elon looked at the DNA test results and felt his world shift. The father's name was Dr. Marcus Chen, a NASA scientist who had worked with Isabella and Miguel years ago. Lenin, Elon said carefully. What was your last name before you got married? Chen. Why? And Diego's birth certificate says his father was unknown? I was too scared to name him. I thought it would cause too many problems. Elon showed her the DNA test results. Lun's face went white. Marcus Chen was my older brother, she whispered, but he died in a lab accident 3 years ago. How could he be Diego's father? You tell me. Lynn buried her face in her hands. Oh God, I was 17 and staying with Marcus for the summer. He had a research assistant, a graduate student who was brilliant and kind to me. What was his name? I don't remember his last name. Everyone just called him David. He was working on his PhD in aerospace engineering. Lynn. If Marcus was Diego's uncle, not his father, then Diego has family. Real family who might want him. Marcus never married, he didn't have children of his own. His parents, Diego's grandparents, died when I was little. What about other relatives? There's no one else. Marcus and I were alone in the world after our parents died. Dr. Santos appeared in the waiting room, looking tired but hopeful. The first surgery went well, she announced. Diego's heart is responding better than we expected, but he needs to stay asleep for several more hours while his body adjusts. Can we see him? Elon asked. Briefly. But he won't wake up until tomorrow morning. In the recovery room, Diego looked so small, surrounded by machines and wires. His face was peaceful, and his breathing was steady. Line touched his hand gently. I should have told the truth about his father years ago. Why didn't you? Because David, the graduate student, was engaged to someone else. When I found out I was pregnant, I panicked. I thought if I told him I would ruin his life and his fiance's life too. Do you remember his last name now? Shixon closed her eyes, thinking hard. Something with an M. Morrison? No, that's not right. Martinez? Maybe. Lynn, this is important. If Diego's father is alive, he has rights. Legal rights that could override both of our guardianship. Even if I could find him, why would that matter? He doesn't even know Diego exists. Because, Elon said quietly, looking at the sleeping boy, Diego deserves to know who his real father is, especially if something happens to us. As they sat watching Diego sleep, neither of them noticed the man standing in the hallway, outside his room. He was reading Diego's medical chart with great interest. The man had graying hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. When he saw Diego through the window, he smiled sadly. Excuse me, he said to a passing nurse. Could you tell me who's caring for Diego Rivera? I think he might be my son. The nurse looked confused. Sir, are you family? Visiting hours are almost over. My name is Dr. David Martinez. I think the boy in that room might be my son. I just flew here from Boston when I heard about his condition. Elon and Lynn heard the conversation through Diego's open door. They looked at each other with wide eyes. Martinez. Lynn whispered. That was his name. David Martinez. Dr. Martinez was tall with kind eyes and graying hair at his temples. He wore a simple blue shirt and carried a worn leather briefcase. When he saw Lin through the doorway, his face went pale. "Lin Chen, is that really you?" Lin stood up slowly, her hands shaking. "Hello, David. I can't believe it." After all these years, he stepped into Diego's room, his eyes moving to the sleeping boy surrounded by medical equipment. "Is he?" "Yes," Lin said quietly. "He's your son." David moved closer to Diego's bed, staring at the child he'd never known existed. "He looks just like you did when you were young. But he has my nose. How did you find us?" Elon asked. David pulled a newspaper from his briefcase. The headline read, "Tech Billionaire Fights for Custody of Mystery Boy." Diego's picture was on the front page. "My wife saw this article yesterday. She said the boy looked familiar, but I didn't think much of it. Then she showed me the picture again this morning." David's voice broke. "He has my father's eyes. The same dark brown eyes that run in my family." "David," Lin said carefully, "why are you here? You're married. You have a life. I'm divorced now. Have been for 3 years. My ex-wife and I never had children." He looked at Diego again. "Lin, why didn't you tell me? I would have helped. I would have taken responsibility." "Because you were engaged to someone else. Because I was 17 and scared. Because I thought I would ruin your future. You should have let me make that choice." Elon watched the conversation carefully. David seemed genuine, but his appearance complicated everything. "Dr. Martinez," Elon said, "what do you do for work?" "I'm a pediatric cardiac surgeon at Boston Children's Hospital. I specialize in exactly the kind of condition Diego has." David looked at the medical charts. "Hypoplastic left heart syndrome. He's had his first repair surgery." Len gasped. "You're a heart doctor." "I became one partly because of what happened between us. When you disappeared that summer, I was heartbroken. I threw myself into medical school, specializing in children's heart problems." He paused. "I guess I was trying to heal something that felt broken inside me." Dr. Santos entered the room and stopped when she saw the group of adults around Diego's bed. "Is everything all right? Diego needs quiet for his recovery." "Dr. Santos," Elon said, "this is Dr. David Martinez. He believes he's Diego's father." Dr. Santos looked surprised. "Another parent? This is getting quite complicated." "Dr. Santos, I'm a pediatric cardiac surgeon," David said. "I'd like to review Diego's medical records if I may. I might be able to help with his treatment plan." "You'd need legal permission from his guardians." "We can give that," Lin said quickly. "If David can help Diego get better, then we should let him." Elon nodded. "I agree. Diego's health comes first." For the next hour, David studied Diego's medical files while Lin and Elon explained everything that had happened. They told him about Isabella's breakdown, the custody battle, and their joint guardianship arrangement. "So Isabella Rivera adopted Diego from foster care?" David asked. "Yes. She was grieving her husband's death and fell in love with Diego's intelligence," Elon explained. "And where is Isabella now?" "In a psychiatric facility. She has early-onset Alzheimer's disease," Lin said sadly. David was quiet for a long time. Finally, he looked up from the medical charts. "I have good news and challenging news about Diego's condition." "Tell us the good news first," Elon said. "The surgery went very well. His heart is responding better than expected. With proper follow-up care, he could live a completely normal life." "And the challenging news?" "He needs 2 more surgeries over the next 2 years. They're complex procedures that require a very experienced surgical team." David paused. "The best team for his specific condition is at Boston Children's Hospital, where I work." Lin felt tears coming to her eyes. "Are you saying Diego needs to move to Boston? For the best possible care?" "Yes. But there's more. I've been developing an experimental treatment that could completely cure his heart condition. Diego would be an ideal candidate." "Experimental?" Elon asked. "What are the risks?" "Some risk, yes. But if successful, he'd have a perfectly healthy heart. He could do anything. Play sports, climb mountains, even become an astronaut." At the word astronaut, all 3 adults looked at Diego's sleeping face. "He dreams of going to Mars," Lin said softly. "Then we need to make sure his heart is strong enough to get him there," David replied. Dr. Santos returned with an update. Diego is waking up ahead of schedule. His vital signs are excellent. They gathered around Diego's bed as his eyes slowly opened. He looked confused at first, then focused on Elon. Papa Elon? Did my surgery work? Yes, Diego. Your heart is much stronger now. Diego noticed Lynn next to his bed. Mama Lynn, you stayed. I promised I would. Then Diego's eyes found David. And he looked curious. Who are you? David's voice was gentle. Hi, Diego. I'm David. I'm a doctor who helps children with heart problems. Are you here to check my heart? Maybe. But mostly, I'm here because… David looked at Lynn, who nodded encouragingly. Because I think I might be your father. Your real father. Diego thought about this for a moment. So Mama Isabella adopted me, Mama Lynn gave birth to me, Papa Elon is taking care of me, and you made me. That's right. Wow, I have a really big family. Diego smiled. Do you know about rockets? David laughed. I know a little, but I'd love to learn more from you. Good. We're gonna Mars someday. All of us. Diego looked around at the three adults. Right? Elon, Lynn, and David exchanged glances. They were three people who barely knew each other, but they all loved the same little boy. Right, they said together. Over the next few hours, they worked out an arrangement that surprised everyone, including themselves. David would take Diego to Boston for the advanced treatment he needed. Lynn would move to Boston to be Diego's daily caregiver. Elon would split time between his companies and Boston, maintaining his role as Diego's legal guardian and father figure. It's crazy, Lynn said as they signed temporary custody papers. 3 parents for 1 little boy. 4 parents, Elon corrected, looking toward the psychiatric hospital across town. Isabella will always be Diego's mother too. She saved his life by bringing him to us. Do you think this will work? David asked. Look at him, Elon said. Diego was drawing a new picture showing 4 adults and 1 child standing on Mars together. He's not worried about whether it's normal. He just wants to be loved. And to go to Mars, Lynn added with a smile. Especially that, Diego called out from his bed, making them all laugh. As unusual as their family arrangement was, it felt right. Diego had a father who could heal his heart, a mother who would care for him daily, and a guardian who understood his dreams. But none of them knew that Isabella had one final secret that would change everything. The call came at 6 a.m. Dr. Williams from the psychiatric hospital sounded tired and sad. Mr. Musk, Isabella Rivera is asking for you. Her condition has gotten much worse overnight, but she's having a moment of clarity. She says she has something very important to tell you about Diego. Elon was already dressed and heading to his car within 10 minutes. Len and David were still asleep in the hotel, exhausted from the emotional day before. At the psychiatric hospital, Isabella looked smaller than before. She sat in her chair by the window, but her eyes were more focused than Elon had seen them. Elon, she said clearly when he entered. Thank you for coming so quickly. Isabella, how are you feeling? Scared. The fog in my brain is getting thicker every day. Soon, I won't remember Diego at all. She gripped his hand tightly. But before I forget everything, I need to tell you the truth about why I really chose you. Elon sat down, sensing this was important. I didn't just know Miguel from college. I didn't just read about your work online. Isabella reached under her pillow and pulled out a folded paper. I've been secretly helping SpaceX for 3 years. What do you mean? Isabella handed him the paper. It was covered with detailed engineering drawings and calculations in her handwriting. Remember the life support problem you had with the Dragon capsule in 2021? The one that almost canceled the Mars timeline? Elon's eyes widened. The oxygen recycling system. We couldn't figure out why it kept failing. I sent you the solution. Anonymously, through 3 different engineering firms. The breakthrough that saved your Mars program. That was my work. Elon stared at the paper. The calculations were brilliant, elegant, exactly like the solution that had saved SpaceX's Mars mission. Isabella, why didn't you take credit? This work is worth millions. Because I was already sick. Already forgetting things. I didn't want people to know that a woman with Alzheimer's was working on space missions. Tears rolled down her cheeks. But I wanted to help humanity reach Mars. It was Miguel's dream, And it became mine too. How many times did you help us? Dozens. Heat shield improvements, fuel efficiency calculations, landing system designs. Every time SpaceX had a problem that matched my expertise, I found a way to send you solutions. Elon felt his world shifting. Isabella, you've been my secret partner for years. That's why I knew you'd understand Diego. That's why I trusted you with him. You and I have been working together to get humans to Mars. Now Diego can be part of that dream too. Isabella pulled out another paper, this one yellowed with age. This is the real reason I chose you, Elon. Look at this. It was a research proposal from 15 years ago, co-authored by Miguel Rivera and Isabella Chen Rivera. The title was Multi-Generational Mars Colonization, Preparing Children for Life on Other Worlds. Miguel and I dreamed of raising families on Mars. We wanted children who would grow up thinking of space travel as normal. Isabella's voice grew weaker. When Diego came into my life, I saw our dream living in one little boy. Isabella, this is incredible. There's more. She pulled out a thick folder. These are Diego's real medical records, from before I adopted him, and his psychological evaluations. Elon opened the folder and gasped. The evaluations described Diego as having an extraordinary spatial intelligence and an intuitive understanding of physics that was far beyond his age. He's not just smart, Elon. He's gifted in exactly the ways needed for space exploration. His mind works like an engineer's, even at 7 years old. How is that possible? I think some children are just born ready for the future. Diego is one of them. Isabella struggled to sit up straighter. That's why his heart condition is so unfair. His body is failing, but his mind is perfect for Mars. Elon felt tears in his eyes. Isabella, David Martinez thinks he can cure Diego's heart completely. Isabella smiled for the first time since he'd arrived. David Martinez? The cardiac surgeon? You know him? I've been following his research too. If anyone can give Diego a perfect heart, it's him. She laughed softly. Maybe I arranged for more than I realized. What do you mean? I mean, maybe the universe wanted Diego to have the best heart surgeon as his father and the best space program builder as his guardian. Maybe everything happened exactly as it was supposed to. Isabella grew quiet, and Elon could see her energy fading. There's one last thing, she whispered. Diego asked me once if people remember each other after they die. I told him that love is stronger than forgetting, stronger than death, stronger than distance. Isabella, promise me that when Diego goes to Mars someday, he'll take something of mine with him. Something to prove that love can travel between worlds. I promise. Isabella reached into her bedside drawer and pulled out a small, worn notebook. This was Miguel's. His dreams about Mars colonies, about families living among the stars. Give it to Diego when he's older. Tell him it's from all of us. Me, Miguel, you, Lynn, David. Tell him it's proof that some dreams are bigger than one person's lifetime. Elon took the notebook carefully. Isabella, thank you. For everything. For Diego. For helping SpaceX. For trusting me. Thank you for making Miguel's dreams come true. And for promising to help Diego reach the stars. As Elon stood to leave, Isabella called out one last time. Elon, when you're standing on Mars someday, remember that a woman who loved a little boy helped get you there. That afternoon, Elon told Len and David about Isabella's secret contributions to SpaceX. They sat in Diego's hospital room while he drew pictures and listened to their conversation. She's been helping us reach Mars for years, Elon explained. Without her work, we might never have solved the life support problems. So Diego's adoptive mother is actually a space exploration hero? Len asked. She's the invisible genius who made Mars possible. Diego looked up from his drawing. Does that mean Mama Isabella is already on Mars, helping to build houses for us? The three adults exchanged looks. Sometimes Diego's way of seeing things was exactly right. Yes, Elon said. I think that's exactly what she's doing. 2 days later, Isabella Rivera passed away peacefully in her sleep. Her last words to the nurses were about her little astronaut reaching the stars. At her funeral, Elon, Lynn, David, and Diego sat together in the front row. Diego held Miguel's notebook tightly and wore his SpaceX mission patch on his jacket. When the service was over, Diego asked if he could say something. Mama Isabella taught me that love is stronger than forgetting. She said that when I go to Mars, I should take her love with me. He held up the notebook. So I will. And when I get there, I'll build the first house for families, just like she and Papa Miguel dream. Everyone in the church was crying, but they were also smiling. Because in that moment, Mars felt a little closer, and love felt stronger than any distance. 2 weeks after Isabella's funeral, Diego was strong enough to travel. The flight to Boston was Diego's first time on an airplane, and he pressed his face to the window the entire time. "Look how small everything is," he said excitedly to Lynn, who sat beside him. "This is what astronauts see when they look down at Earth from space." "Not quite that high," David said from across the aisle. "But you're getting the idea." Elon had flown ahead to Boston to set up a house for them near the children's hospital. When their plane landed, he was waiting with a big smile and a surprise. "Diego, I have someone on the phone who wants to talk to you." Elon handed him a phone, and Diego's eyes went wide when he heard the voice on the other end. "Hi, Diego. This is Commander Sarah Kim calling from the International Space Station." Diego nearly dropped the phone. "You're really in space right now?" "I really am. I'm floating 250 miles above Earth, and I wanted to tell you how brave you are. I heard about your heart surgery and your dreams of coming to Mars. Do you think I could really be an astronaut someday? Diego, if you keep being brave and keep studying hard, I think you could be the first person to walk on Mars. We need smart kids like you to help us explore the universe." After the phone call, Diego was so excited he could barely sit still. "Papa Elon, did that really happen? Did I really talk to someone in space?" "You really did. And someday you'll be up there talking to kids on Earth." Their new house in Boston was perfect. It was close to both the hospital and David's apartment, with a big yard where Diego could play when he felt strong enough. Lynn had found a job with a tech company that let her work from home so she could take care of Diego. The best part of the house was Diego's room. Elon had covered the walls with pictures of Mars, rocket ships, and the solar system. There was a telescope by the window and a desk where Diego could draw and do science experiments. "It's perfect," Diego said, spinning around in his room. "I can study space every day." Boston Children's Hospital was different from the hospital in Austin. It was bigger and busier, but everyone there knew Diego was coming. Dr. Patel, the lead cardiac surgeon, had worked with David to create a special treatment plan just for Diego. "Diego has one of the most interesting cases I've ever seen," Dr. Patel told the family. "His heart condition is serious, but his body is responding to treatment better than we expected." "What does that mean for his future?" Lynn asked. "If our experimental treatment works, Diego could have a completely normal heart within 2 years. He could do anything other kids do, play sports, climb mountains, even pass the physical test to become an astronaut." Diego's face lit up. "Really? I could really go to space?" "Let's fix your heart first," David said with a smile. "Then we'll worry about Mars." The experimental treatment was different from regular surgery. Instead of opening Diego's chest, the doctors would use special medicine to help his heart grow new, healthy tissue. Diego would need to come to the hospital 3 times a week for treatments, but he could live at home and go to school. "It might make you tired sometimes," Dr. Patel explained, "but you should feel stronger every week." Diego started at a special school for kids with medical conditions. His teacher, Ms. Rodriguez, was amazed by how much he knew about science and space. "Diego, would you like to give a presentation about Mars to the other kids?" "Really? I can teach them about Mars?" "Of course. You know more about it than most adults." Diego spent a whole week preparing his presentation. He made drawings of Mars colonies, explained how rockets work, and told his classmates about the different challenges of living on another planet. "The hardest part about Mars isn't getting there," Diego told his class. "It's making sure people can live there safely. You need air, water, food, and protection from radiation." One kid raised his hand. "Diego, are you really going to Mars someday?" "I hope so. My heart needs to get better first, but all my parents are helping me get ready." "All your parents?" Diego grinned. "I have 4 parents. It's complicated, but it works really well." After 3 months of treatment, Diego was stronger than he'd ever been. His heart tests showed amazing improvement and he had more energy to play and learn. "The treatment is working even better than we hoped," Dr. Patel told the family. "Diego's heart is rebuilding itself. How much better can it get?" Elon asked. "If this continues, Diego will have a completely normal heart by his 10th birthday." No restrictions, no limitations, no problems at all. That night, Diego called his old friends in Austin to tell them the good news. Dr. Santos was so happy she cried over the phone. "Diego, I'm so proud of you. You're getting stronger every day, just like I knew you would." Dr. Santos, "When I become an astronaut, I want to name my first spaceship after you. That would make me very happy, little astronaut." But the best news came 6 months later. Diego had gained weight, grown 2 inches taller, and could run and play like any other kid. His heart tests showed that the experimental treatment had worked perfectly. "Diego," Dr. Patel said with a huge smile, "you officially have a healthy heart. No more restrictions, no more special medicines, no more treatments." Diego jumped up and hugged David. "Papa David, does this mean I can really be an astronaut now?" "It means you can be anything you want to be." That weekend, the whole family celebrated at the Boston Science Museum. Diego ran through the space exhibit, explaining everything to other kids and their parents. "See this model of the Mars rover?" Diego told a group of children. "I'm going to build a better one someday. One that can help people live on Mars." A little girl raised her hand. "How do you know so much about space?" Diego thought for a moment. "Because I have the best teachers in the world. My mama Isabella taught me that love is stronger than distance. My mama Lynn taught me to never give up. My papa David taught me that broken things can be fixed. And my papa Elon taught me that impossible dreams can come true." As they walked home that evening, Diego was quiet and thoughtful. "What are you thinking about?" Lynn asked. "I was thinking about Mama Isabella. She would be so happy to know my heart is fixed." "She does know," Elon said. "Wherever she is, she knows you're going to be okay." "Papa Elon, do you really think I'll make it to Mars someday?" Elon looked at the 8-year-old boy who had come so far from the scared child they'd found at a Tesla charging station. "Diego, I don't just think you'll make it to Mars. I think you'll help build the first city there." Diego grinned and started skipping ahead of them down the sidewalk. "The first city on Mars," he said to himself. "I can't wait to get started." 2 years later, Diego was 10 years old and had grown into a confident, healthy boy. His dark hair was longer now, and he had grown tall enough to reach the top shelves in his room, where he kept his model rockets. On a sunny Saturday morning in Boston, Diego sat at his desk working on something special. Papers covered with drawings and calculations were spread everywhere. "Diego, breakfast is ready," Lynn called from downstairs. "Just 5 more minutes, Mama Lynn. I'm almost finished with my Mars city design." David poked his head into Diego's room. "What are you working on so hard?" Diego held up a detailed drawing that looked like it came from a professional architect. It showed buildings with domed roofs, underground tunnels, and gardens growing under glass. "It's my design for the first Mars city. See, the domes protect people from radiation, and the underground tunnels connect all the buildings so people can walk around safely." David studied the drawing with amazement. "Diego, this is incredible. How did you figure out all these details?" "I've been reading Isabella's notebook and Miguel's research papers. Plus, I watch all of Papa Elon's SpaceX presentations online." Diego pointed to different parts of his drawing. "This part here is for growing food, and this section is where families will live. You included schools and hospitals too. Of course, kids will be born on Mars, and they'll need places to learn and get better when they're sick. Just like I did." That afternoon, the whole family gathered for their monthly celebration. Ever since Diego's heart was completely healed, they had started a tradition of doing something special together once a month. "Where should we go today?" Elon asked. He had flown in from California that morning. "Can we visit the Space Museum again?" Diego asked hopefully. "We were just there last month," Lynn laughed. "But they have new exhibits about the Mars rovers. And I want to show you my city design." At the museum, Diego had become something of a celebrity. The staff knew him by name, and other visitors often stopped to listen when he explained the exhibits to his family. "This is the latest Mars rover," Diego told a group of kids who had gathered around them. "It can drive for miles and take pictures of the landscape. But someday, people will walk around Mars instead of just robots." "How do you know so much?" asked a girl about Diego's age. "I'm going to be the first kid to live on Mars. I'm already designing the city where we'll all live." The girl's eyes went wide. "Really, can I see?" Diego proudly showed his drawings to everyone. Soon, a small crowd had formed around them, including Dr. Lisa Park, the museum's director of education. "Diego, these drawings are remarkable," Dr. Park said. "Would you be interested in giving a presentation to our Young Visitors program?" "You mean like a real lecture? About Mars?" "Exactly like a real lecture. We have scientists and engineers speak here all the time. I think kids would love to hear from someone their own age who has such big dreams." Diego looked at his parents excitedly. They all nodded with proud smiles. "Yes, I would love to teach other kids about Mars." 2 weeks later, Diego gave his first public presentation. The museum's small theater was packed with children and their families. Diego wore his best shirt and the SpaceX mission patch that Isabella had given him so long ago. "Hi everyone, my name is Diego Rivera, and I'm going to tell you about the coolest planet in our solar system, Mars." For the next hour, Diego explained everything about Mars, its red color, its 2 moons, its seasons, and why scientists believed people could live there someday. But the most exciting part was when he showed his city designs. "Living on Mars will be different from Earth," Diego explained. "We'll need to be very smart about how we build our homes and grow our food. But I think it will be the greatest adventure humans have ever had." A boy in the audience raised his hand. "Diego, are you really going to Mars?" "I hope so. My heart used to be sick, but my Papa David fixed it. Now I can do anything, including becoming an astronaut." "What if you get scared?" Diego thought for a moment. "You know, I used to be very scared. I was scared when I was sick. Scared when I didn't know who would take care of me. Scared that I might never get better." "What helped you stop being scared?" "My family taught me that love is stronger than fear. When people believe in your dreams and help you work toward them, scary things become exciting adventures." After the presentation, many families came up to talk to Diego. One mother said, "My daughter has been afraid to try new things, but listening to you made her want to be brave." Dr. Park pulled Diego's parents aside. "I've never seen children so inspired by a presentation. Diego has a real gift for teaching and motivating others. He's always been special," Lynn said proudly. "I'd like to invite him to be a regular speaker here. We could develop an educational program around his Mars research." That evening, Diego was so excited he could barely sit still at dinner. "Did you see how many kids were interested in Mars?" he asked. "Maybe some of them will become astronauts too." "Diego," Elon said, "I have some news that might make you even more excited." "What kind of news?" "SpaceX is planning our first manned mission to Mars. It won't happen for several years, but we're starting to select and train the astronauts who will go." Diego's eyes grew huge. "Really? The first people are really going to Mars? Really? And Diego, I think by the time you're old enough you could be on the 2nd or 3rd mission." "The 2nd mission?" Diego jumped up from his chair. "That means the first people will build the basic structures and my mission can start building the real city." David smiled. "You've got it all planned out, don't you?" "I've been planning this since I was 7 years old," Diego said seriously. "Mama Isabella always said that dreams only come true if you work hard to make them happen." That night, Diego sat by his bedroom window, looking up at the stars. Lynn found him there when she came to say goodnight. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "I was thinking about how everything that happened to me, being sick, meeting all of you, getting better, it all happened so I could help people live on Mars." "You really believe that?" Diego nodded. "Mama Isabella taught me that some dreams are bigger than one person. My dream of going to Mars isn't just about me. It's about making it possible for families to live among the stars." He picked up Miguel's worn notebook from his bedside table. Miguel and Isabella dreamed of families on Mars. "Papa Elon is building the rockets to get us there. Papa David gave me a strong heart so I can make the journey. And you gave me life and taught me to never give up." Lion wiped away a tear. "You're gonna change the world, Diego. I'm going to change 2 worlds, Mama Lun. Earth and Mars." As Diego finally went to sleep that night, he dreamed of red skies and domed cities, of children playing in Martian gardens, and of the day when traveling between planets would be as normal as flying between cities. In his dreams, he could see Isabella and Miguel standing proudly on the surface of Mars, watching the first families arrive at the city that love and determination had built. 3 years later, 13-year-old Diego was taller than Lynn and almost as tall as David. His voice was changing, and he had started growing his first bit of facial hair that he was very proud of. He stood in his bedroom looking at acceptance letters spread across his desk. Harvard, MIT, Stanford, all the top universities in the country wanted him to join their aerospace engineering programs. This is crazy, Diego said to himself. I'm only 13. Lun knocked on his door. Diego? The whole family is here for dinner. We're waiting for you. Coming, Mama Lin. Downstairs, Elon, David and Lin sat around the dinner table with serious expressions. Diego knew something important was happening. Diego, we need to talk about your future, Elon began. Did I do something wrong? Just the opposite, David smiled. You did everything right. Maybe too right. Lun pulled out one of the university letters. Diego, these schools want you to start college next year. At 14 years old. Is that bad? It's incredible, Elon said. But we're worried about you missing out on being a kid. Diego sat down slowly. What do you mean? You spend all your time studying rocket science and designing Mars colonies, David explained. When was the last time you just played with friends your own age? Diego thought about it. Most kids his age seemed interested in video games and sports, things that felt silly compared to space exploration. I don't need to play games. I have important work to do. Diego, Lin said gently, even astronauts need to know how to relax and have fun. Being smart is wonderful, but being happy is important too. I am happy. I'm happy when I'm working on Mars colony designs. Elon leaned forward. Son, I want to tell you something about myself. When I was your age, I was a lot like you. I thought work was more important than friends, more important than fun, more important than everything. That's good, right? That's how you built SpaceX and Tesla. Yes, but I also missed out on a lot. I didn't learn how to just be with people without talking about work. I didn't learn how to enjoy simple things. Diego looked confused. But you're successful. You're helping humans get to Mars. Success isn't just about achieving your goals, Diego. It's also about enjoying the journey and connecting with other people. David nodded. Diego, your heart is perfectly healthy now. But I'm worried about a different kind of health. Your emotional health. What do you mean? I mean that you've been so focused on your Mars dreams that you haven't learned how to just be a teenager. Lun pulled out another paper. Diego, we found something concerning when we were cleaning your room. It was Diego's notebook, open to a page where he had written the same sentence over and over. I must be perfect. I must not disappoint them. I must earn my place. Diego's face turned red. That's private. Diego, Elon said softly. Do you think you have to be perfect for us to love you? I don't know. Maybe. Why would you think that? Diego's eyes filled with tears, and suddenly he looked like the scared 7-year-old they had first met. Because everyone left me before. My birth parents. Isabella, when she got sick. What if I'm not smart enough or good enough and you all leave too? The three adults looked at each other with broken hearts. Oh, Diego, Lin said, moving to hug him. We're never gonna leave you. But what if I fail? What if I don't make it to Mars? What if I'm not as special as everyone thinks? David joined the hug. Diego, you don't have to be special for us to love you. You don't have to go to Mars. You don't have to be perfect. But that's my purpose. That's why everything happened. So I could help humans live on Mars. Elon sat on Diego's other side. Diego, your purpose isn't to carry the weight of humanity's future on your shoulders. Your purpose is to be Diego Rivera, to be happy, to be loved, and to love others. But what about Isabella's dreams? What about Miguel's notebook? Their dreams were about families living happy lives, even if those lives happened to be on Mars, Lin explained. They wouldn't want you to sacrifice your happiness for their dreams. Diego cried for a long time while his 3 parents held him. Finally, he looked up with red eyes. I'm scared, he whispered. Scared of what? Scared that if I'm not working toward Mars all the time, I'll forget how to be special. Scared that if I act like a normal kid, you'll realize I'm not worth all the trouble you went through to save me. Diego, Elon said firmly, you were worth saving before you knew anything about rockets. You were worth saving when you were just a sick little boy with a big heart. You're worth loving just because you're you. Really? Really? And Diego, I want to tell you a secret. Some of the best astronauts I know are people who learned how to enjoy life on Earth first. They're not just smart, they're fun to be with. They know how to work with others, and they understand that space exploration is about making life better for everyone. David nodded. Diego, what would you think about taking a break from advanced studies for a year? Maybe going to regular high school, making some friends your own age, learning what it's like to be a normal teenager. Diego looked terrified. But what about getting into the space program? The space program will still be there in 5 years, Elon promised. But your chance to be a kid only lasts a little while longer. What if I'm not good at being normal? Lynn laughed. Diego, you learned rocket science when you were 7. I think you can figure out how to be a teenager. Over the next few weeks, Diego started attending the local high school instead of taking advanced online classes. At first, it was awkward. The other kids seemed so different from him. But slowly, Diego began to discover things he'd never experienced. He joined the robotics club and found that teaching other kids about engineering was fun, not just important. He tried out for the debate team and learned that arguing about ideas could be exciting. Most surprisingly, he made a friend named Alex, who was also interested in space, but who also loved movies and music and just hanging out. Diego, Alex said one day, "You're really cool, but you don't have to prove it all the time. You can just be yourself." What if myself isn't interesting enough? Are you kidding? You've designed a whole city on Mars. But you know what's even cooler? You're nice to everyone. You help people with their homework and you actually listen when people talk. That's what makes you a good friend. That night, Diego called his parents together. "I figured something out today," he said. "What's that?" "I think maybe my real purpose isn't just getting to Mars. Maybe it's helping other people believe they can reach their dreams too, even if those dreams aren't about space." "How do you mean?" "Well, today I helped a kid in my math class understand equations better. And I helped another girl design a robot for the robotics club. They both said I made them feel like they could do hard things they thought were impossible." Elon smiled. "That sounds like exactly the kind of person we need leading the first Mars colony." "Do you think so?" "Diego, the best leaders aren't the smartest people. They're the people who help others become the best versions of themselves. Just like all of you helped me?" "Exactly like that." Diego grinned. "Okay then, I guess I can wait a few more years to get to Mars. I've got some Earth friends to help first." 2 years later, Diego was 15 and had grown into the kind of teenager his parents had hoped for. He was still brilliant, but now he laughed easily, had close friends, and could talk about things other than rockets. He was captain of his school's robotics team and had just been accepted to MIT's early admission program, though he had decided to wait until he turned 18. On a crisp October morning, Diego sat in his favorite spot in the school courtyard, eating lunch with Alex and their friend Maria. They were discussing their upcoming science fair projects. "I'm building a water purification system," Alex said. "What about you, Maria?" "A solar panel array that can track the sun automatically," Maria replied. "Diego, what's your project?" "Let me guess, something about Mars?" Diego grinned. "Actually, no. I'm working on something more practical. A heart monitoring device that can predict problems before they happen." His friends looked surprised. Diego rarely talked about his own heart condition anymore. "Why that topic?" Alex asked. "Because I remember what it felt like to have a sick heart. And I remember how scared my family was. If I can help other families avoid that fear, then my experience with being sick will have helped save other kids." After school, Diego walked home to find an unusual scene. All 3 of his parents were sitting at the kitchen table with serious expressions, along with Dr. Patel, who had driven down from Boston Children's Hospital. "Diego," Len said, "please sit down. We have some important news." Diego felt his stomach drop. "Is someone sick? Is it my heart again?" No, David said quickly. "Your heart is perfect. This is about something else." Dr. Patel opened his briefcase. "Diego, do you remember the experimental treatment that cured your heart condition?" "Of course. You saved my life." "Well, we've been studying the results of your treatment for the past few years. Your recovery was even more remarkable than we initially realized." "What do you mean?" Dr. Patel pulled out a folder thick with medical reports. "Diego, your heart isn't just healthy now. It's actually stronger than a normal heart. The bioengineered tissue we used didn't just repair the damage. It enhanced your cardiovascular system." Diego blinked. Enhanced how? Your heart pumps more efficiently than average. Your blood carries oxygen more effectively. Your body processes stress and fatigue better than most people. Dr. Patel smiled. In simple terms, you have a superhuman heart. What does that mean for Diego's future? Elon asked. It means he could handle extreme physical conditions that would be challenging for other people. High altitudes, low oxygen environments, high G-forces. Dr. Patel paused meaningfully. The kind of conditions astronauts face during space travel. Diego's eyes went wide. Are you saying my heart condition actually made me better suited for space travel? I'm saying that the treatment for your heart condition accidentally made you one of the most physically qualified candidates for long-duration space missions that I've ever seen. The room was quiet for a moment, as everyone processed this information. There's more, Dr. Patel continued. NASA has been following your case. They've asked if you'd be interested in participating in their Advanced Astronaut Candidate program. NASA wants me? Diego's voice cracked with excitement. They want to study your unique cardiovascular adaptations. If you're interested, you could start training with them during summer breaks while you finish high school. Diego looked at his parents. Can I? Really? Diego. Elon said, this is your choice. But I think it's amazing that the heart condition that almost took your life away might be the thing that gets you to Mars. That evening, Diego called his friend Alex with the news. Dude, this is incredible. Alex said, you literally have a superhero heart. It's weird, right? The thing that made me sick as a kid is now my biggest advantage. It's not weird, it's perfect. You always said everything happens for a reason. Isabella used to say that too. She said some dreams are bigger than one person. And sometimes life prepares you for your purpose in unexpected ways. So when do you start astronaut training? Next summer. But Alex, I'm kind of scared. Scared of what? You've wanted this your whole life. What if I'm not ready? What if I mess up? What if I get to space and I can't handle it? Alex was quiet for a moment. Diego, remember when you first came to our school? You were so worried about fitting in, about being normal enough. Yeah, and now you're the most popular kid in school, not because you're a genius, but because you're kind and funny and you help everyone with their problems. So you've already proven you can handle anything. You survived a heart condition, you learned how to be a regular teenager, and you never stopped caring about other people. If NASA thinks you're ready, then you're ready. The next morning, Diego woke up early and sat by his bedroom window, looking up at the sky where Mars would be, even though he couldn't see it in the daylight. Mama Isabella, he said quietly, I think I understand now why everything happened the way it did. He picked up Miguel's notebook from his bedside table and read the inscription Miguel had written years ago. Someday, families will live among the stars. I'm going to make it happen, Diego promised. Not just for me, but for everyone who dreams of something bigger. At breakfast, his parents were waiting with smiles. So, Lynn asked, have you made your decision about NASA? Yes, I want to do it, but I have one condition. What's that? David asked. I want to keep working on my heart monitor device. If my enhanced heart is going to help me get to space, then I want to make sure other kids with heart problems can follow their dreams too. Elon grinned. Diego, I think that's the most astronaut-like thing you've ever said. What do you mean? The best astronauts don't just think about their own missions. They think about opening up space for everyone who comes after them. That afternoon, Diego started filling out his NASA application. Under the section that asked, why do you want to be an astronaut? He wrote, when I was 7 years old, I was a sick little boy who dreamed of going to Mars. Many people helped save my life and make my dreams possible. Now I want to help make space accessible for other kids who dream of the stars. I want to be part of building the first permanent human settlement on Mars. Not just as an explorer, but as someone who helps create a place where families can live, learn, and thrive among the stars. As he finished the application, Diego realized something profound. His journey from a sick child abandoned at a charging station to a NASA astronaut candidate wasn't just his story. It was proof that with enough love, support, and determination, impossible dreams really could come true. And the best part was, his journey was just beginning. 3 years had passed since Diego started his NASA training. Now 18 years old, he stood 6 feet tall with broad shoulders and the confident posture of someone who had spent summers learning to be an astronaut. His dark hair was cut short in the style preferred by space programs, and his once fragile body had become strong and athletic. Today was special. Diego was graduating from high school as valedictorian, heading to MIT in the fall, and receiving news about his final astronaut candidate evaluation. The graduation ceremony took place on a perfect June day. In the audience, Elon, Lynn, and David sat in the front row, watching proudly as Diego gave his speech to 200 graduates and their families. When I was 7 years old, Diego began, I was a sick little boy who believed in impossible things. I believed that broken hearts could be fixed, that families could be found in unexpected places, and that someday humans would live among the stars. The audience listened intently. Many of them had followed Diego's story over the years. Today, I want to tell you that impossible things happen every day. They happen when people choose love over fear, when they choose hope over despair, and when they choose to help others reach for their dreams. Diego looked directly at his parents as he continued. I learned that being smart isn't enough to change the world. Being kind matters more. Being brave matters more. Being willing to help others matters most of all. After the ceremony, the family gathered at their favorite restaurant to celebrate. But Diego seemed distracted, checking his phone constantly. Diego, what are you waiting for? Lynn asked. NASA said they'd call today with my final evaluation results. And you're nervous? David asked, terrified. What if 3 years of training wasn't enough? What if they decided I'm not ready? Elon put his hand on Diego's shoulder. Son, whatever happens, we're proud of you. You've already accomplished more than most people do in a lifetime. Diego's phone rang. The caller ID showed NASA Johnson Space Center. The entire table went quiet. This is Diego Rivera, he answered, putting the phone on speaker. Diego, this is Commander Sarah Kim. Do you remember me? Diego smiled. Of course. You called me from the International Space Station when I was 8 years old. That's right, well, I have some news for you. The Astronaut Selection Board has reviewed your training evaluations, medical reports, and psychological assessments. Diego held his breath. Diego Rivera, congratulations. You have been selected as the youngest person ever accepted into NASA's active astronaut corps. You'll begin advanced mission training in September. The restaurant erupted in cheers from nearby tables who had been listening. Diego's family hugged him as he tried to process what he'd just heard. Commander Kim, Diego said when the excitement died down. What does this mean? What missions will I train for? Diego, you're going to be part of the Artemis Mars program. If all goes well with your training, you could be on the 3rd crewed mission to Mars, the mission that establishes the first permanent research station. Diego looked at his parents with tears in his eyes. The first permanent station. The beginning of the Mars city. That's right, your unique medical profile, combined with your engineering background and leadership abilities, makes you ideal for long-duration Mars missions. After the call ended, Diego sat quietly for a long moment. What are you thinking about? Lynn asked. I'm thinking about Isabella. She always said that love is stronger than distance. Now I'm going to prove that's true by helping humans love each other across the distance between worlds. That evening, the family visited Isabella's grave in Boston. Diego knelt beside the headstone and pulled out Miguel's worn notebook. Mama, Isabella, I did it. I'm going to Mars, just like we always dreamed. He opened the notebook to Miguel's drawing of families on Mars. And I'm going to build the city you and Miguel imagined, where children can grow up believing that the universe is their home. He placed a fresh SpaceX mission patch beside her headstone, the same design as the one she had given him 11 years ago at the Tesla charging station. Thank you for believing in me when I was just a scared little boy. Thank you for trusting Papa Elon with your most precious gift. Thank you for teaching me that some dreams are bigger than one person's lifetime. As they walked back to the car, David asked, Diego, are you ready for what comes next? The training will be intense, and the mission itself will be the most dangerous thing humans have ever attempted. Diego looked up at the evening sky where Mars was just becoming visible as a small red dot. Papa David, I've been ready since I was 7 years old. Everything that happened, being sick, being found, being loved, being healed, it all prepared me for this moment. What about being scared? Lynn asked. It's okay to be scared. I learned something important during astronaut training. Courage isn't about not being scared. Courage is about doing the right thing even when you are scared. And going to Mars is the right thing? Going to Mars isn't just about me anymore. It's about proving that humans can overcome any challenge when they work together. It's about showing that love really can cross any distance. Elon smiled. Diego, I think you're ready to be humanity's ambassador to Mars. Not just ambassador, Papa Elon. I want to be the person who helps Mars become humanity's second home. I want children to grow up there thinking of it as normal to live among the stars. 6 months later, Diego started his final mission training at NASA. His instructors were amazed by his combination of technical skill, physical capability, and emotional maturity. Rivera is unlike any astronaut candidate we've trained, reported his flight commander. He has the technical expertise of a veteran engineer, the physical conditioning of an Olympic athlete, and the leadership qualities of someone twice his age. But what impressed them most was Diego's response when asked about his motivation for the Mars mission. I want to go to Mars because a woman named Isabella Rivera sacrificed everything to make sure one little boy could reach the stars. Now I want to make it possible for millions of other children to follow their dreams, whether those dreams lead to Mars, the moon, or anywhere else in the universe. The training was grueling. Diego spent months in isolation chambers, underwater environments that simulated zero gravity, and desert locations that mimicked Mars terrain. But every night he wrote in a journal, letters to Isabella that he planned to leave at the first Mars settlement. Dear Mama Isabella, he wrote one night. Tomorrow we practice landing procedures for the Mars mission. I'm not scared anymore. I know you're watching over me, and I know that every challenge I face is preparing me to help other people reach their dreams. Love really is stronger than distance, stronger than fear, stronger than anything. As Diego closed his journal and prepared for sleep, he realized that his journey from abandoned child to Mars-bound astronaut was almost complete. But the most important part, using his position to help others dream bigger, was just beginning. 10 years later, 28-year-old Diego Rivera stood on the observation deck of the Mars Turnit station, looking down at the red planet that had called to him since childhood. His hair now had streaks of early gray from years of space radiation, and laugh lines creased the corners of his eyes. He wore the blue uniform of a Mars colony administrator, with patches showing his many successful missions. Below him, the first permanent Mars settlement spread across the Martian landscape like a jewel. Domed buildings glowed with warm light, underground tunnels connected different sections, and the greenhouse domes showed the green of growing plants. It looked exactly like the drawings a 7-year-old Diego had made in a hospital room so many years ago. Colony Administrator Rivera, came a voice behind him. Diego turned to see Dr. Emily Santos, the settlement's chief medical officer and daughter of the Dr. Santos who had first called Elon about a mysterious boy at a Tesla station. Emily, you know you can just call me Diego, he said with a smile. Sorry, Diego. Old habits. I have the morning report from Earth Communications. Diego took the tablet she offered. The screen showed dozens of messages from children around the world who had applied to the Youth Mars Academy, a program Diego had created to prepare the next generation for life among the stars. One message caught his attention. It was from a 10-year-old girl named Sofia in Mexico City. Dear Mr. Diego, I have a heart condition like you did when you were little. My doctors say I might not be strong enough to be an astronaut, but I saw your interview where you said broken things can become stronger. Is that really true? Diego smiled and immediately recorded a video response. Hi, Sophia. Yes, it's absolutely true. My heart condition almost ended my life when I was your age. But with the right help, love, and determination, it became my superpower that got me to Mars. Don't let anyone tell you what you can't do. The universe needs brave girls like you. As he sent the message, Diego thought about how many children like Sophia he'd helped over the years. Through his foundation, hundreds of kids with medical challenges had received treatment, education, and the encouragement to dream bigger. Diego, Emily said, the morning transport is arriving from Earth. Your special visitors are on board. Diego's heart jumped with excitement. After 3 years on Mars, his Earth family was finally coming to visit the colony he'd helped build. At the landing pad, Diego watched as the sleek passenger transport touched down on Martian soil. The first person to emerge was Lun, now 55 but still energetic and curious. Her hair was completely gray, but her eyes sparkled with the same intelligence Diego remembered from childhood. "Mama Lynn," Diego called out, running to embrace her as she stepped onto Mars. "My little astronaut," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Look what you've built." Next came David, now in his 60s but still fit and sharp. He moved carefully in the lower Martian gravity, looking around in wonder. "Papa David, how do you feel?" "Like I'm in a dream. My son lives on Mars." David hugged Diego tightly. "Your mother would be so proud." Finally, Elon emerged from the transport. Now in his 70s, his hair was white, but his eyes still held the same determined fire that had driven him to build the rockets that made this moment possible. "Papa Elon," Diego said, his voice breaking with emotion. "Diego," Elon said simply, then looked around at the thriving settlement. "You did it. You actually did it. We did it. All of us together." That evening, the family gathered in Diego's habitat dome for dinner. Through the transparent walls, they could see Earth as a small blue dot in the Martian sky. "Tell us about your life here," Len said. "Are you happy?" "Happier than I ever imagined possible," Diego replied. "We have 400 people living here now. 23 children have been born on Mars. The first generation of true Martians." "Children born on Mars," David said in amazement. "Isabella and Miguel's dream of multi-generational space families." "Speaking of Isabella," Diego said, reaching into a cabinet, "I have something to show you." He pulled out a worn SpaceX mission patch, the same one Isabella had given him at the Tesla charging station 21 years ago. "I've carried this on every space mission. It's been to the moon, to Mars, and around the solar system. And tomorrow, I'm going to place it at the site where we're building the Mars Memorial Garden." "What's the Memorial Garden?" Elon asked. "A place to honor everyone who sacrificed for humanity's future among the stars. Isabella will be the first person memorialized there, along with Miguel. Their names will be the first ones future generations of Martians learn about." Line wiped away tears. "Diego, what would you tell that scared little boy in the hospital if you could talk to him now?" Diego thought for a moment. "I'd tell him that every scary thing he's going through is preparing him for the most amazing adventure possible. I'd tell him that the people who love him will never give up on him. And I'd tell him that someday he'll help millions of other children believe in impossible dreams." "And what would you tell Isabella?" David asked. Diego looked out at the Earth, so far away but somehow still connected to this red world where humans were learning to live. "I'd tell her that love really is stronger than distance. That her desperate choice to trust a stranger with her son saved not just one little boy, but opened the path for all of humanity to become a multi-planetary species." The next morning, Diego led his Earth family to the construction site of the Mars Memorial Garden. Workers were placing the final stones in a beautiful circular plaza with fountains that would work in Martian gravity. At the center of the plaza stood a bronze plaque with Isabella's name and a simple inscription, "Dr. Isabella Chen Rivera, the woman whose love launched humanity to the stars." Diego placed the worn SpaceX patch beside the plaque. "Mama Isabella, I made it. We all made it. And now millions of children will grow up knowing that the universe is their home, just like you dreamed." As he stood up, Diego noticed a small girl watching from nearby. She had the curiosity and wonder in her eyes that he remembered from his own childhood. "Hi there," Diego said, kneeling down to her level. "What's your name?" "I'm Luna. I was born here on Mars. My mommy says you came from Earth when you were grown up. But I've never seen Earth except in pictures. Would you like me to tell you about Earth?" Luna nodded eagerly. "Earth is a beautiful blue planet with oceans and forests and billions of people. But you know what the most amazing thing about Earth is?" "What?" "It's where love begins. The love that brought me to Mars, the love that built this city, the love that will take humans to other planets and stars. Earth is where people learn that love is the strongest force in the universe." Luna thought about this seriously. "Will I ever go to Earth?" "Someday, if you want to. But Luna, you're gonna help build something even more amazing. You're gonna help humans spread across the whole galaxy. You're the future of our species." As Luna ran back to her parents, Diego realized that his story had come full circle. He had started as a lost child dreaming of Mars. And now he was helping Mars children dream of the stars. That evening, as his Earth family prepared to return home, Elon pulled Diego aside. "Son, I want you to know something. When I first got that call about a boy at a Tesla station, I thought I was just helping one child. I had no idea we were launching the future of human civilization. Papa Elon. None of us knew where this would lead. But Isabella did. Somehow she knew that love and dreams and determination could change everything. What's next for you, Diego? Diego looked up at the Martian night sky, where the moons Phobos and Deimos were visible along with distant stars. Next, we prepare for the missions to Jupiter's moons, to Saturn, to the outer planets. The children being born on Mars today will be the ones who take humanity to the stars. My job is to make sure they believe it's possible. Just like Isabella made sure you believed it was possible. Exactly like that. As the Earth transport prepared for departure, Diego stood with his Martian neighbors watching the ship rise into the red sky. Among the crowd were the 23 Mars-born children, including Luna, all looking up with wonder. Will we see them again? Luna asked. Yes, Diego promised. And someday you might visit them on Earth, or they might visit you on Jupiter's moons, or Saturn, or planets we haven't even discovered yet. Really? Really. Because love is stronger than any distance, and dreams are more powerful than any obstacle. A very wise woman taught me that, and now I'm teaching it to you. As the ship disappeared into the Martian sky, Diego felt Isabella's presence as strongly as if she were standing beside him. Her desperate gambit at a Tesla charging station had saved one little boy, but more than that, it had opened the path for humanity to become a civilization of the stars. The scared 7-year-old who once drew pictures of Mars colonies had grown up to build the real thing. And now, children who would never know the limitations of a single planet were preparing to dream even bigger. Isabella's love had truly proven stronger than any distance, even the distance between worlds. That was the end of Diego Rivera's incredible journey from abandoned child to Mars colony leader, a testament to the power of love, sacrifice, and believing in impossible dreams. Diego's transformation reminds us that sometimes the most desperate acts of love can change not just one life, but the entire future of humanity. Isabella's heartbreaking choice to trust a stranger with her most precious gift ultimately opened the path to the stars for all of us. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below. I love connecting with viewers from around the world. If this touched your heart, please hit that like button. And subscribe to our channel for more inspiring tales of courage, determination, and the extraordinary things that happen when people refuse to give up on their dreams. And don't forget to share this with your friends and family, because these messages of hope and resilience need spread. Together, we can inspire more people to believe that love truly is stronger than any distance, and that impossible dreams really can come true. Thank you for watching, and remember, you never know how one act of kindness might change the course of someone's entire life. See you in the next one.